An insider's view of Florida's wedding of the year with details you probably haven't heard yet. But Governor Charlie Crist's honeymoon likely to be short-lived because lawmakers go into special session in January to deal with the state's budget crisis. All of that on a special edition of Power Play this week with our guest, Lucy Morgan of the St. Petersburg Times. So you are the honored media pool reporter at the wedding of the year. Tell us what the most memorable moment was.
I guess it would have to be the kiss.
The kiss.
As the minister told the governor he could kiss the bride, he turned and planted a very gentle and brief kiss. And her response was to reach up, grab him by both cheeks, pull him back toward her, and plant a much longer kiss on him.
And did the crowd ooh and ah?
Oh, the crowd loved it. The crowd laughed and applauded.
So it was really a lighthearted, not a really tense ceremony?
It was a very, almost an understated ceremony, sort of elegant, but there was nothing ostentatious about it. The flowers were hydrangeas and roses in two large bouquets. The church was decorated for Christmas, so it was festive, but there was nothing highfalutin about it.
Well, we know there were 200 plus guests, including Geraldo Rivera.
It was the surprise of the night.
Former Governor Bob Martinez. Any glaring omissions of people who weren't invited?
Well,
hottest ticket in the state.
It clearly was the hottest ticket. I know they had a terrible time winnowing out who would and would not get invited. And if I had to sort of categorize who got invited, it would have been the top business leaders of the state who had some affection for Charlie. And most of them had also contributed, or their companies had. A group of lobbyists, some of whom, like David Rancourt, was the governor's fraternity brother at FSU. So there was some that had that sort of connection, and also Ronnie Book, Brian Ballard, lobbyists' names that you would know. I'm sure there were a lot of lobbyists in this state who wished they had a ticket.
Well,
and didn't
perhaps with the magic of the internet and graphics, they can be airbrushed into some post-wedding photos at the reception for their own websites. Let's talk about the reception at the Vinoy. How nice was that?
It was nice. Again, not fancy. They did not stand on a lot of ceremony. Nobody smashed cake in anybody's face. They did cut the cake and delicately fed it to each other with a fork. And they did not do this formal first dance thing. They invited everybody to dance and to have a good time, and there was a lot of socializing all over the room. The governor and his bride probably hit every table in the place and did dance a good bit.
Well, now we have a first in the second 2 years, the second half of the governor's first term. He's got a first lady. What kind of political asset will that be for him?
I think she's going to be a huge asset. I had expected a really snooty New York socialite, and what I found was a very warm, engaged person who was talking to people, seemed to care about them. I think he's got a real asset for a first lady at the mansion.
She's a mom of 2 young daughters. Do you think she'll have input into policy issues?
I'm sure that she will be the sort of wife who listens and advises and is around at all the serious moments in his life. And yes, I think she will have input into it. The daughters are 10 and 12, Jessica and Skylar. There was a very cute moment in the reception when the two of them went up to the band leader to request music for a circle dance, and they took the microphone from the band leader and said, "Mommy and Charlie, could you come up here with us?" And so I think the governor is Charlie to 2 daughters who while they go to school in New York and don't at the moment live full-time in Florida, I think you'll see them a good bit in Florida.
Well, after all that happy news, lawmakers are going to come into a special session in January to deal with Florida's budget crisis, perhaps $2 billion in cuts coming. That kind of, sours the punch bowl of the wedding, doesn't it?
Well, he'll need a wife to go home to at the end of every day. I think that it is a ghastly session to come into. To have to make these kind of cuts in the middle of a budget year is more pain than we've probably ever seen inflicted on Floridians.
But the governor's still enjoying historically high popularity ratings despite all the problems in Florida. Being a married man, only going to help?
I think it will only help. I think he is the eternal optimist who, much like Ronald Reagan, likes to project a positive image of himself and of the state.
Well, Lucy Morgan, happy holidays to you and yours. Thanks for
Same
being
to
here
you.
and sharing these insights. Go to the Safety Review for the latest political news, and we'll see you next time on Power Play.